So, throughout the NFL today, there has, or throughout really the last week, there have been a lot of injuries over many teams. Some notable ones, just alone, is Dennis Pitta, who has had successful surgery for a fractured hip, and is lost for the rest of the year. Jeremy Maclin, torn ACL. Dan Copton for the Broncos, torn ACL. Aaron Berry for the Jets, also a torn ACL. And it just comes to ask, how much will these teams struggle? Uh, the Broncos, it will take a while for any center to get into sync with Peyton Manning just because of his audibles and how much he likes to change the plays at the line of scrimmage. Jeremy Maclin is really the only actual threat they have on that team that's well-rounded. LaShawn McCoy is really the only other one. Deshaun Jackson drops far too many passes. He's not a good route runner, and he really just has speed. You can account for speed. Putting a safety over the top can really shut Deshaun Jackson down. Dennis Pitta. I believe Joe Flacco will struggle next year, quite a bit. They've already lost Anquan Bolden, and now they've lost. Well, they lost Anquan Bolden to the trade to San Francisco, of course, and now they've lost Dennis Pitta for the rest of the year. Dennis Pitta and Anquan Bolden combined for 11 of Joe Flacco's 22 touchdowns last season. Not the best thing to have happen to your team. The only other person that I can see that can really help Joe is Ray Rice. Brilliant receiver out of the backfield. Not only just a good runner, but a phenomenal receiver. I can see them putting him in the slot because Bernard Pierce, I think, will take away from some of Ray Rice's carries next year. But who does Joe really have to depend on? Jacoby Jones? He's not a number 2 receiver. He's not even a slot receiver. He's a backup receiver. He's really just a special teams threat. Torrey Smith, great speed, drops far too many passes, and is an average route runner at best, right? Jeremy Maclin, I believe that any other quarterback, be it Michael Vick, Nick Foles, or even if they decided to go with Matt Barkley, or even Dennis Dixon, let's just say, the 3 get hurt, any quarterback is gonna struggle without Jeremy Maclin. Brian Selleck is an average tight end. Really should be a backup. Deshaun Jackson, really, like I said before, speed, and you can account for speed. LaShawn McCoy can catch, but you're not going to give the guy 100 passes a season or next season, right? It will take too much of a toll on his body. Jeremy Maclin had speed, but he was also a good route runner, and he could catch the ball in traffic. Something that Deshaun Jackson really lacks. Aaron Berry for the Jets, I don't know if he's much of a playmaker, but they would need all the help they can get after being so foolish to trade away Darrelle Revis. Antonio Cromartie is really a number 2 corner. He is not fit to be number 1. I understand he did fine last year. That's really because he was tested more, and showed quarterbacks, don't throw it my way, but he was really just tested more. So we'll see how good he does next year. Aaron Berry could have been the number 2 or nickel corner. I think he would have done a very good job. But, I think we're really going to see how much these teams struggled next year without their star players. I think the Ravens and Joe Flacco will struggle the most because Dennis Pitta was a great contributor to the team. 61 receptions for almost 700 yards. But really, that's actually very good for a touchdown. Or for a tight end, sorry. It just goes to show, one player can ruin an entire season for a team if they get injured. Peyton Manning and the Colts was a perfect example 2 years ago. But we will see how much these teams are affected next year. And I think a couple of them will be affected quite a bit. The Eagles and the Ravens, just to be specific.